Coming very soon, we have a new Superman comic series, Superman, The Coming of the Supermen. This is a story brought to us by one of the comic greats, Neal Adams. Now, without going very much into the plot for fear of spoiling it for you, it's going to involve everything that you want from a Superman book. That's right, Neal Adams has stated that he feels that Superman is going in all kinds of directions that don't reflect the original vision for Superman. So to fix this, he wants to write a Superman story that could feel like it could take place at the start of Superman's career, all the way back in 1938. He wants the Superman with his tights on the outside, the curl in his hair, and the lack of armor. He wants a Lois Lane that everyone can fall in love with, and he wants a Lex Luthor that is bald, large, and cranky, and jealous of Superman's hair. That's what he means by the original vision of Superman, the Superman that we all grew up with and loved. This isn't to say that he disagrees with the new directions of Superman, and personally, I love the new Superman direction. We just sometimes want what we grew up with. But if you're seeing the advertising for this, you can see that DC is pushing it as a new Neal Adams book, and if you're newish to comics, you might be wondering, who is Neal Adams, and is he important? Comicstorian, please tell me who he is! Oh, I got you covered. Well, originally, Neal Adams was actually turned away by DC from freelance work. Can you believe that? A comic book icon turned away. In their defense, it was the first place that he applied to. But then he went on to do a series of work for other publishers and newspaper strips until eventually he saw a second chance at DC Comics. A well-known war comics artist, Joe Kubert, was moving on to other projects, and Neal Adams submitted his work in hopes of filling that void that was left behind. He got the job starting in 1967, penciling and inking It's My Turn to Die. Now, during this time, a little show called Batman was on ABC, and they turned Batman from his dark and gritty detective nature into a family-friendly, campy appearance. It was Neal Adams that helped re-establish Batman as a dark and brooding character with the help of Dennis O'Neil writing it. His first stories were The Secret of the Waiting Graves and Paint a Picture of Peril. Batman fans rejoiced at having their brooding hero back, and this led to the creation of well-known villains, the Man-Bat and Ra's al Ghul, in 1970 and 1971 respectively. Since they did such a good job at revamping Batman, the team of Neal Adams and Dennis O'Neil were given the job of revamping long-standing characters Green Lantern and Green Arrow. They did this by combining the superheroes into the book Green Lantern, Green Arrow, which took over the Green Lantern book at issue 76. It was a completely different take on both of these characters and something completely new for comics in general in this day and age. They went on a social commentary journey across America in a pickup truck. This was considered a landmark run as it was a relevant comic discussing the issues of the day and age. They dealt with things like racism, overpopulation, pollution, and drug addiction, with the last one being the most notable because Green Arrow's sidekick Speedy was discovered to be a heroin addict. The relevance train won both Adams and O'Neil awards, but in 1973 DC decided that being relevant was dead, and they moved the two of them off of the book. Now, some of you might know Speedy from the current Green Arrow runs, and while originally it was a heroin addiction, this aspect of the character has remained in one way or another as an addiction. Being an unnamed drug or alcohol, he always seemed to be fighting something, and this was created by Neal Adams. While both of these are very notable things within Neal Adams' career, there was one more thing that he did that people very fondly remember. His last story with DC before launching his own company. He drew Superman vs. Muhammad Ali, and he managed to adapt it from Dennis O'Neil's original script. The plot for this is that aliens were invading and they needed Superman and Muhammad Ali to fight. It doesn't really make sense, nor does it matter. Out of all of Superman's famous individuals' appearances, this is one of the more fondly remembered because it was another example of DC staying relevant at the times. Or at least they tried. The book was delayed multiple times, and when it finally came out, Ali wasn't the heavyweight champion anymore, though he did win it back shortly after that. Neal Adams wouldn't return to DC until 2010, in which he wrote and drew Batman Odyssey, writing another story for a character that he helped turn into a brooding hero, along with some short stories for Batman Black and White, leading us to today, where Neal Adams wants to bring Superman back to his classic state and send him on an adventure involving Lex, Lois, and Darkseid. He is a legend in the comic book world, and having him writing another piece for DC is something that we will all look back to for years to come. I personally can't wait to read this book. I hope you guys enjoyed going down this memory lane of Neal Adams' work, and if you do enjoy it, make sure you check out my channel, Comicstorian. And don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the DC Fans channel so that you can stay up to date on all of the DC awesomeness. I'll see you next time right here.